Welcome to Fringe Toast. I'm here with Rachel Warren of Realistic, Holistic, and Metaphysical Roundtable, all around wrapped up into one. Are you listening on a different screen? Are you listening?
No, I can hear you on my speaker. What, is there an echo?
Yeah, I thought somebody was listening. I thought I heard my own voice come back through. Anyway, that's okay.
Bobby, are you hearing voices?
I am.
Are they telling you to do it?
In all actuality, I do need to talk to you about this. I have been hearing so. All right. Maybe the first time that this happened, was probably around February of this year. That I notably was like, okay, this is telling me something, and it was in regard to me smoking, and it was like, you need to stop, and then maybe the night or two later, it'd be like, it's going to kill you. Like I'd smoked for 16 years before that, and nothing. I mean, I knew I needed to quit. I mean, we all got things we need to stop doing. But that was the first time that I'd notably been like, okay, I'm going to listen to the voices, because they sounded very convicted about what they were telling me. It wasn't something that was coming from a place of like, oh, you should I don't know.
Yeah, so it was coming with like a little bit of authority, like maybe I should.
No,
not a conscience type thing, but maybe a healthy place, maybe.
Yeah, there was really no judgment there. It was just sheer concern. There was there was a very educated perspective from this thing. I don't know.
It's gonna kill you.
It's gonna kill you.
It's gonna kill you.
Yeah, this is gonna be the reason you die if you don't. So, and at the same time that was happening, I was also having some other health issues. Like, I don't go to the doctor very often. I went to the doctor. I don't have a primary care profession. What's the primary care physician? A PCP. I don't have one of those. I got scolded by the Walgreens Minute Clinic lady, and she told me, she was like, "Look, you're getting of age that you need a primary care professional, physician." Sorry, not.
Yeah, that and CVS, those are my go-tos, unless it's like an arm hanging off. I'm like, we can just go to the Minute Clinic.
Yeah. And the lady, like, she let me have it, and well, here we are almost a year later, and I still don't have a primary care physician, but I did listen to the voices in my head, and they told me to do better. They was like, you should go to the gym. You should eat a salad. You should do these things. But so recently, I was like, you know what? I'm going to start a journal for these voices, because they've continued to speak to me, and I've kind of ignored them because a lot of it's nonsensical stuff. It's nothing that's seemingly connected.
Right.
So, I suppose in the journal, I should probably note what I'm doing instead of what it says. Like, well, every time that this happens, I'm like on the verge of sleep or coming up out of sleep. Like, it's right there in that very light REM state.
Yeah, I think that's called the hypnagogic state.
The hypnagogic.
Yes.
If you can say that, then you haven't eaten enough turkey. You should go back and eat some turkey.
I know. And I'm sure I'm like, meshing some consonants together, but that's the gist of it. If somebody wants to look it up, they should be able to do it from hypnagogic state.
Hypnagogic. Ooh, that hurts my nose to say.
Well, whenever you go to journal this, see if you can pay attention. I know you said that you was not really completely aware. if you can notice where the voice comes from. And I know we've talked about this, saying whether you hear it from the front of your head or the back of your head, but just kind of
Oh,
see where, like, if you hear it, because normally you hear it and you think, oh, that was weird. It's like, but what was it? And then it's like you totally forget. But just like see if it comes from up here, if you hear it up here, or, just
like
see
a
if you can where you
direction?
hear it. Yeah.
Like,
hmm
okay, I don't know that I'm gonna be able to do that. I'll
You will.
try.
You will. You
I'm
will. You
I'm
will.
I'm doing pretty good to be able to be like, okay, so 11/19/2021,
Uh-huh.
I had a a female voice that I heard, and it said, I started that out for y'all, for all y'all." So I think she was Southern. She
hmm
said another female voice accompanied that one and said, "Okay." That's it. That's all I got. I didn't get nothing else between the. I started that out for y'all, for all of y'all, and the other female voice just said, "Okay." That's it. That's all I got. And then probably about 2 weeks prior to that, I heard a
hmm
man. I heard a man say just the term, "all these random people." He was mad. I know he was mad about something. Like he was frustrated. He was like,
hmm
"all these random people," and I don't know. All these random people, and that's what I kind of was like. Yeah, you're a random person. What are you doing? Why are you here?
Right.
What?
So, do you see faces too? Whenever
No.
you don't see faces?
Mm-mm.
So whenever I lay down and I go to sleep super fast. And this is like in a matter of like 30 to 40 seconds of me just, I'll get in the bed, my head hits the pillow, and I'm out. And it drives Todd crazy. And then so sometimes I will like jolt awake or jolt back up, or I'll be lucid enough to where I can say, oh my gosh, because as soon as I do that, I lay down and I'm fixing to go to sleep. Then all these like random faces come like just rushing at me. And I'm like, I mean, and it's not like, my kids or my husband or anybody like that. It's just like random. I'm like, what are you doing? What are you doing? You just waiting for me to lay down and they're just running. And so I'll say, okay, this one just came and that one just came. So I was just kind of curious if you have that.
Mm-mm, no.
Just voices.
Just the voices at the moment.
Hmm.
It's not something that I've actually been exercising, but it's
Right?
something that I was like, all right,
Uh-huh.
maybe it's worth writing down and talking to somebody about, whether it
Right.
be Rachel or whether it be a psychological professional.
I know, right? Well, I remember not too long ago, didn't you hear your name a couple times in your house?
Um, n-
Mm-hmm.
I don't recall that.
Okay.
I don't recall. I don't recall ever hearing my voice like audibly in a waking tone. The only thing that's happened here has been with my bedroom door. Two different
Mm-hmm.
events. One when I first moved in, which the hinges were messed up. So I fixed. I worked on those hinges
Mm-hmm.
and fixed them. And I think what was happening whenever that first thing happened was like the tension was releasing between the hinges, and it sounded like someone like pounded on the door one freaking hard
Uh-huh.
time. It scared the snot out of me. And I Cliff was in his room down the hall, and I was like, "Hey, man, what the fuck? What?"
What are you
This is my
doing?
show. I was supposed to be like, "Excuse my language," but this is my show. I can say what I want. I will be who I am. I was like, "What are you doing? Like, what? You scared the shit out of me." He was like, "What are you talking about? Like, I didn't do nothing." So either a, I I believe him when he says that he didn't
hmm
do that, because we don't play around like that. Like
Right.
that's not, we're 30-year-old men. Like that's
Mm.
not that's
Okay.
not, we're not playing pranks and whatnot. Um well, occasionally, but not like, that's not a prank.
Yeah.
Why would that? Why would someone come beat on my door?
Oh,
Uh,
I do it all the time and scream, Popo. I got a warrant. It's like, really, Rachel? It's not funny. I'm
that
like,
is not funny.
it
That is
is.
not.
Well, it's your bedroom door. I mean, it's my voice.
All
They
right.
should know it's not me. I
Exactly.
mean, they should know it's not.
It's not the
But
real police.
yeah, it's not the real, because they're not going to say, the
It's the mobile
Popo.
police.
Yes, yeah.
Um,
Well, I'm kind of curious as to what you're hearing, and I'll tell you later what I think the lady might be.
like off camera.
Yeah,
Okay.
because yeah,
Right on. Well, uh, okay. That's interesting. That's something to look forward to.
yeah.
Suppose we can't talk about this with in front. Okay, that's
Oh
fine.
no, we can. I just didn't know.
If
You
it
know,
won't, is it laundry? Is it my laundry?
yeah, it is.
Oh shoot.
No, it's just something personal, so I don't want to. I just don't know. It came to mind whenever you said it, and I was like, okay. So,
Okay. Well,
but I've heard those voices. I was saving up to have LASIK done, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna go and do the consultation to see how much I need to, how much it's gonna cost. And I'm driving down the road, and I hear this voice, with authority. You don't need to do that. You have too much scar tissue, and I don't know what it is, but it's just like a little thing with clotting and scar tissue, and with me. And I was like, okay, got it. So not gonna do it. So
well,
I know. And I was like, who am I going to tell that to? Like this loud, authoritative voice tell me, no, I don't need LASIK because of scar tissue in my eye. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to go with that. I don't know who it was. But at this point, I'm 45. I can do without LASIK. I'll just keep wearing contacts and glasses. But,
right on.
but I'm not going to tell everybody that. But I have now. But yeah.
You have told everyone.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
She,
but don't they kind of, isn't that something that, like, if you say that, that's not too off the wall. If I say
mhm.
that, that's a, I mean, not, I don't want to put us in two different baskets, but we're definitely in two different baskets. Like,
I don't know, Bobby. I
we're,
don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I'm thinking so. I'm kind of curious as to, I don't know what's fixing to happen with you, what you're fixing to start experiencing.
um,
Nothing? Nothing at all?
I'm just gonna analyze it, whatever it happens. I'll share it, and then,
Hmm.
but I'm gonna take it as like just another piece of evidence. I'm not gonna make a big to do about it or whatever unless it becomes a problem, and then I'll definitely go see
Who you gonna go see?
a doctor. Not my primary care physician. We already established I don't have one
Right.
of those.
You gonna go to Walgreens. I'm hearing voices. But I also do these podcasts where I talk to all these people and I go on ghost investigations.
Yeah, yeah, that's
Hmm.
probably well. They're gonna be like, well, you should stop doing that immediately.
And then they're
Like,
gonna say, do you really? Do you really? Oh my gosh, I hear this in my house. That's what they'll really say.
well, you think they're watching? Well,
No,
hello.
no, but I'm just saying that's what they'll say, because that's what I always think that people's going to say negative things. And then, especially whenever I talk about reincarnation, especially if I'm like talking like to an older gentleman, I'm like about reincarnation. I was like, I don't know if you believe these things. And they're like, oh my gosh, yes. Actually, my brother died, 30 years ago. And I'm convinced that my firstborn son is the, reincarnated version of him. And I'm like, what? I never
Hmm.
expected this.
That
So,
is pretty interesting. People are a
yeah.
little bit more open than they want to portray themselves to,
Mhm.
portray themselves to be in their regular everyday life. But also like, you know, also there are a lot of people out there that don't that. Hmm. How do I say this? Like, there's there's people out there that don't have any sense what there's no balance between some skepticism and, oh, I believe everything. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, there's
Mhm.
most people can't hold that balance, and that's a necessity. If uh, either you're all the way in or you're all the way out. For
Right.
most.
And I would say a good example of exactly what you're talking about are all the pictures with orbs. You know,
Yeah,
chances are they're probably dust.
they are.
And then, but there's, one or two. So, but they're not all orbs. Or
Yeah,
it's a light refract, whatever that word is. A light,
refraction.
yeah, light
Refraction.
refraction. Yeah. So, mhm.
Um, I don't think the orbs are real. I also am very skeptical of this flashlight deal, which we talked about the last
Mhm.
time that you were on the show, and um, also REM pods. After reading what I did in the Skeptical Inquirer about how those things work and finding out, you guys can find the video where I read that. I'm a little bit more skeptical as to seeing the activity from one of those and counting it as flat out evidence
Mhm.
without knowing for certain that no one around is using a walkie talkie or something like that, which you know on the few paranormal investigations that I've gone on with Fox Family, they've used those before. They've used walkie talkies. Now, they had a couple of REM pods, but none of those were activated at all, let alone by
Mhm.
the walkie talkies. So I don't know.
I agree totally. Because, I mean, you can go within.
Hey man, I appreciate it. I'm right in the middle of a live stream right now. Oh, well, thank you. Thank you so much. All right. Appreciate you, man.
You kind of had me scared there for a minute. I was like, well, is something happening? Because
I'm
I have a. That's how it's going to happen. You're going to get. Oh, you got food?
yeah.
Oh, is it DiGiorno? Is it delivery?
It's Stouffer's, not a sponsor.
Well, that's good. But no, I don't. I agree as far as using the REM pod with the only evidence. If it can be corroborated evidence of like this happened and that happened and nobody was around, then no, they're very easy to set off and manipulate. In my
So,
opinion.
I mean, a healthy amount of skepticism is
Hmm.
there, but then also there's something to be said for someone who can't look at evidence that's poking them right in the face. Like,
Uh-huh.
uh, for example, if you guys aren't aware, Small Town Monsters just had a release of the first episode of their Bigfoot project. Small
Hmm.
Town Monsters, if you're not familiar, it's ran by Seth Breedlove from Ohio. Him and his team have made some really fantastic stuff on most of it's on YouTube. Whenever I first heard of them, the only way to get their stuff was to buy it on Amazon Prime. So Amazon Prime Video. It was like $10 a movie, and the stuff that they were producing was so fantastic that I ate it up with a spoon.
Hmm.
Uh,
I know because you shared it. He's like, and I was like, okay, well, I got to watch this.
yeah, so there's the Beast of Bray Road, the Fleetwood Monster, the Mothman Prophecy project that they did, all fantastic stuff. And they don't make a whole lot that I don't like. They do make some stuff, but one thing that's for sure is the fact that Seth Breedlove has been a huge skeptic. Now he wasn't a fan of that term when he did an interview with Kelly from Friday.com. They had a podcast on their Patreon. I'm not a Patreon of anyone else but this team. So Friday is fantastic. They talk about movies. They talk about cryptids. They talk about true crime stuff. They talk about all that. And they had an exclusive interview on their Patreon with Seth Breedlove about this Bigfoot project. And in the first episode, he totally sees, like, he has interaction with a Sasquatch in the woods, or a creature. I'm not going to
Hmm.
say Sasquatch. He has interaction with a creature, multiple of that creature, him and his wife. Well, not him and his wife. I think someone else was with him. I think it was maybe his co-host of his show. The whole production crew was there camping um, in Ohio, and this is what happened. Like they were there specifically to film, and guess lo and behold, things started showing up. And so he's shown himself reacting to all of this stuff, and it has been a skeptic. He wasn't a fan of that term, but by all definition, he was a skeptic and denied everything that he had ever seen prior to this, publicly anyway. And then all of a sudden, when this happened at the Bigfoot he's like, I'm not a skeptic. I'm not a skeptic. I was never a skeptic. I was someone who was looking for the truth. A I don't know. They used a lot of big words to say that he was a seeker of truth.
Uh-huh.
But prior to this, he was in complete denial of everything. And it's kind of like you like watching people eat crow a little bit.
Yeah, it happens to me a lot. So it happens to me a lot.
No doubt though that his show will be a huge success, and I wish it success. I really hope. I'm hopeful for all of that. No fault of him, but you should call it like you like
Mm-hmm.
be for real. Like, I was not a believer. I seen this and I became a believer. Don't be like, oh, I was in the middle all the time. I was willing
Yeah,
to
because I
look
agree.
at
I
both
don't think
sides.
there's anything wrong with being a skeptic and being proved wrong. Because I mean, that's what you're setting out to do.
Exactly.
Honestly, it kind of sounds like, because for a lot of people, they don't believe this. Either one, they were told these things don't exist, and so for the to see that they do exist, or they've been lied to either by their parents or just not knowing if these things are true, what else is true that we don't know about. So I guess in a way, it would be very unnerving, and kind of scary as well. What else is there that we don't know about?
Well, also they were probably told, "Hey, don't meddle around with this stuff. This is something that you should absolutely not mess with." Recently, I posted the video from Frank Sumption
Hmm.
on FringeToast.com. He uploaded his newest episode, or his newest video was about a goblin. Okay, so for one, I want to go ahead and say for sure that that his videos in general are just so amazing. Like, I don't care if it's real or if it's fake. The man's character is so great. Frank Sumption, not Frank Sumption. Good Lord, what am I saying? Frank Sumption must be trying to contact me. Uh,
But where do you feel that information coming in? The front, the back, your ass, just pulling it out your ass.
yeah. Hold on. We'll get the man's real name. Good Lord, I can't believe that I'm having such a hard time. FringeToast.com. I'm going there now to get my news. Um, Erwin Saunders.
That
Erwin Saunders.
there, it's not even close.
Is it not?
It's not even close.
What's his
How?
name?
No, no, no. That's it. But I'm just saying, how can you get Frank and
I know. I know.
hmm
I don't know. I'm just pulling. I was just name dropping. You
right?
get.
I
Just
understand.
I'm just name dropping. Frank
Mhm.
Sumption is is a name that I like to drop, but this was the wrong one. Erwin Saunders is a name that I like to drop too, and because he is very very amazing in everything that he produces. Him and Tom is the guy that follows him around in the woods.
Three names. I like how you're incorporating all these names into one. Like, oh, I just accidentally said it, but you've got them all three in there now.
No, Tom is yeah, Tom
Hmm.
is a different person. You
Hmm.
okay. So Tom just follows this guy around, and films, and the way that Tom puts, I think Tom edits everything and puts everything together, and it's so well done. I really hope that whenever I grow up, I'm a little bit like Erwin Saunders,
Hmm.
because re- regardless if he's looking off into the woods, and Tom puts it in CGI afterwards, I don't know, but if he is just looking off into the woods and seeing these creatures and behaving the way that he is, I really hope that I get to that point in my life where I'm just like, yeah, it's so in love with magic,
Yeah,
so in
I'm
love with.
I'm intrigued. I'm gonna have to watch now.
Yeah, I do hope that you do. Now, again, and I'd like to get your take. See if you think, is this CGI? Because the way that Erwin Saunders is presented, there ain't no way this guy's putting CGI in anything. Like,
Hmm.
I'm just, he is the type of guy that gets excited about his different hats. Um, he's got one he's got one big hat that is plain black, and he loves that one, but he's got
Hmm.
the exact same hat in camouflage, and he's a big fan of that one too. You know what I'm saying? Is not the type of guy that I see fixating on technology at all.
Right, right.
Now,
Huh.
now Tom, because I see how much of an amazing editor that he is. The idea that maybe he might be a good editor and have the ability to put something like that into a film is, I don't know, it's a potential. I mean, given enough time, I think I would have the ability to do something like that. Would I? No, because I have no interest in deception. Oh,
Right.
now, if I was working on a project that I intended to put something like that in, I would be upfront about, hey, what you're like, this is a movie. This is a movie. This is make believe. This is fairy tale. Not presented in a way that it would be considered factual or the truth or anything like that. Which may be, who knows?
Yeah. It could be like a glimpse into the mind of, you know,
Like, what do we see? Or us seeing
right.
what
Yeah.
he's seeing?
Yeah. You're seeing what he's seeing. That would be pretty cool.
That would be interesting, but I also feel like that they should be transparent about that. If that was
Right. Yeah.
if that was their ticket in. So we put this on the title, and we haven't talked about it at all, and we're 30 minutes in. But you had you've been looking into some North Georgia uh,
Yeah.
folklore
Yeah.
and
Folklore
legend.
and legends. Yeah. I was really trying to find some information about the pot plane in Polk County. And then that just anytime I do any kind of research, it just like sends me down all these little rabbit holes, and then it connects to this and connects to that. And then like 3 hours later, I'm like, oh, I should go do something productive with my life. But instead, it led me to a forum where they were talking about different legends here in the Northwest Georgia area. And this one was about the Crumpton Booger. And this was, I don't know, maybe 10, 11 years ago. That's how old the feed was. And there was several people that had chimed in. They were excited because they haven't heard of this tale and since they were little. And then just everybody was really putting their input into it. And it was in South Fulton County. And I was like, oh my gosh, well, I know where this is. I know where that is. And I was looking at the roads and I was like, oh my gosh, right now, there's nothing but Amazon buildings where they're talking about. And then I thought, oh my gosh, well, what's going to happen to, the legends and where do these things go? And I know from the perspective of, if a location is haunted, and it's tore down, it usually kind of stays with the land or it wanders around. But it kind of takes the fun out of it because part of the lore and the legend with me is you're riding down the road and you're telling the story about such and such happened here, and it just adds to the ambiance. And you can't do that whenever you're passing an Amazon building. So it's like we're losing
The
that.
the expansion of humanity is destroying folklore. And
Yes.
yeah, I agree. Like,
Yeah.
well, I don't know. Maybe with the advent of Amazon warehouses, there would be a new folklore that is developed, and there would be about a monster that lives inside of the Amazon warehouse. And poor kid was just out of high school, and was just there trying to make a buck,
Uh-huh.
and it was late at night, and or probably even more realistic, the robots that they have moving stuff
Yes.
around in there,
Uh-huh.
those things get infested with a spirit of some sort, and
Mm-hmm.
it takes him out. Poor guy. Now Amazon, please don't sue us. Like, if you did, you wouldn't get anything. Like, it would be pointless.
I know. I don't think they would, because I mean, I probably get Amazon packages every day, allegedly.
Yeah,
So why would they do that? They'd be like, "She is our number one supporter.
yeah.
What's she worried about?"
Everything that you see in
Uh-huh.
front of you came from Amazon.
I know.
Um,
So
what's
yeah,
being recorded?
yeah,
This.
maybe
What's
we are
recording
the
me?
ones. We are the ones that are actually, getting rid of folklore because we are creating the need and
Hmm.
the demand for it.
That's true. That's
Hmm.
true. Well, we're not the only ones responsible, but I mean, if it weren't Amazon, though, our demand would still our demand would be at the level that it is, because if it hadn't been for Amazon, then maybe somebody else would have come along with the same idea.
Hmm.
You know, it
Yeah.
would be a Walmart.com. I mean, Walmart.com opened up a factory in Carrollton here, not far from my house, d- essentially doing the same exact thing that you see being done with all these Amazon locations, but not quite as on a massive scale. Um, so I believe that it was headed in that direction either, and if it weren't Amazon, we'd probably be
Yeah.
getting it from somewhere else.
So it's just progress then.
Uh,
Yeah, and I guess technically it's gonna just be anything. It's just time. Because growing up, we had the Pig Man in Paulding County, and that was what everybody went to go see. I mean, because he was a legit gentleman, and I lived over in that area, so I knew who he was, and there, I mean, like he was real. And most teenagers would, because he lived off the power lines. So on the weekends, the teenagers would go over there and go mudding and drinking and go find Pigman. And he would, basically put on a show for them. And so I took my kids, because I've got son that's 23 and son that's 13. So whenever I took my oldest ones and told them the whole story about the pig man, how he would jump out of trees and how he would do this and do that, there was like the ambience, there was the woods, there was a tree. The witches' cemetery is still there. But whenever I take my youngest one, the 13-year-old, it's like there's subdivisions and his house is gone, and then I'm just like, telling the old people story as back in my days, there was a man that used to jump out of trees onto cars.
like,
And
is this real?
yeah, this is real.
I think you're Erwin Sandersing me. You're Erwin
No,
Saunders
no,
me
this is
right now.
real. This is Google the pig man in Paulding County.
I don't want to.
Oh yeah, no,
Are
no,
there
this
pictures?
is
It's a real
no.
person.
Yes, a real person. Yeah. Yeah. No, this was a real person. This was a real person. And I mean, I guess technically he was a legend. You know, he was a real, he was a real thing. Yeah. And so
I don't.
yeah, no, he was a real thing. But in this area where people would go, I mean, it would be a county road, but right in the curve where the cemetery would be out in the middle of nowhere. You're Googling, aren't you? You're going to owe me. You're going to owe me because you don't believe me. And he would be down in the cemetery. He would jump out. He would do things. Yeah, but I mean,
I was trying to find an image that we could share with
no,
our
no, I doubt there's an
viewers.
image. Because
Yeah, I'm not
this was,
finding any.
yeah, this is back before. This is back before everybody had 2 or 3 cell phones on them. This was probably
Yeah,
he
but you
went
had the thing
away.
that
No,
with
this
the wheel.
No,
No,
yeah, but I don't think anybody would take a picture, because then that would like probably incriminate what they were doing out there anyway. I mean, he went away about the time that we really got into pagers, you know,
that
when
was.
everybody had, and you probably don't even remember pagers or beepers.
I do too. I remember going into a
Hmm.
store. There was a company that all they did was sell beepers across
Hmm.
from Kmart in Carrollton, which is no longer there. It's now Robinson Salvage. But I remember going in there when I was a kid. My
Hmm.
dad had to get a beeper. He had to have a beeper for working for the Ford Motor Company. Uh,
Mr.
um,
Abercrombie, we have a crisis.
yes.
This Ford broke down.
Well, he was kind of he would they would send him on a kind of trip. They would send him on parts trips
Hmm.
because the Don Ridge Ford. Hey man, don't sue me either. I'm not saying anything bad. Anyway, and is it Don Rich? I forget. It's in Bremen, Ford Company in Bremen, Ford Bremen Motor Company.
Hmm.
He had a lot of off the wall hobbies.
Uh-huh.
Um, like he was a collector of all kinds of strange things. Like he had um, model airplanes and whatnot that would run off of gasoline. So if one of those, lots of them, if one of those broke down, Pop, they would send Pop to go and hunt down parts.
Uh-huh.
Or if he needed something for, I think at one time he had like a kit, like a Trans Am that was like
Uh-huh. Yeah.
from
Oh,
a
I
Night
know.
Rider.
Kit, come get me. Uh-uh.
Yeah, he
I
had one
know.
of those, and Dad had to find parts for it. So what they sent him to go find the old cell phone, like the
Hmm.
mobile phone that was the big pack.
Yeah, the back phones.
He had to go get one of those for the kit that was around here. He had to go get.
That's funny. I have one of those in my living room cabinet.
What?
Yeah.
You could probably sell that for a hot penny right now.
You want me to holler, hey, bring me the back phone?
No, that's okay. I
I'll
seen
use
them.
it next time.
It was a thing of wonder, though. I do
Oh, yeah.
remember that being a big
Mhm.
deal. Like, they're sending you to get this phone. It was like they were sending him to go get, uh,
Jesus.
go get this, go get the phone. I was like, that's pretty intense. A phone that goes in your car? What is
Uh-huh.
happening? But I think I think you're right about the fact that we're pushing folklore out. Sorry, I'm not very good at saying. I forgot we were talking about the paranormal and shit, not technology that's expired. Um, Back to it, folklore that is
Mhm.
pushed, that pushes that we're an invasive species that is pushing these creatures out, maybe in a physical form and then also in a mental form. I think from a physical aspect, we talked to the guy that experienced the Bigfoot encounter in Buckhannon. And one of the things from his report was the fact that uh, after the house was brand new,
Mhm.
and he would come and hit the side of the house and was like, "Oh, this is my property and whatnot." And was throwing stuff at him from across the river, and it's all about they were just it's their territory, and when you come in with Amazon warehouse and you just push him away, maybe in a physical format, he's going off to somewhere else.
Mhm.
When he moves over to somewhere else, someone else is going to have an encounter and analyze this thing as being something else and going to give it a different name entirely. And so
Yes.
a new folklore will be reborn, hopefully.
Yeah. And I
Hopefully.
guess this is really nothing new because I guess every generation, or I get every couple of generations, that's what happens. they had the oral tradition, and then the stories are lost because nobody sits around the campfire and talks about these, and nobody drives down dirt roads if they can find a dirt road to tell these stories, or people don't even talk to their kids, or people don't believe in scaring their kids. Like my kids, I was excited because I took them snipe hunting.
That's not
So
scary.
no, it was more traumatic for me than it was from them. But I don't think most
What
people would do that now.
people would I want to walk on
I
eggshells, but
know.
snipe hunting's not scary. It's
No, it's
it's
not scary, but
it's very easy. You take
it
the
is very
the
easy.
bag.
Right. But you take your kids, the basic 101 of snipe hunting is you take your kids to the woods, fabricate a lie, get them to lay down, and you leave them.
Yeah.
Some might see that as criminal activity.
Well, someone might see that as criminal
Yeah.
activity.
Some might see it as fun.
Those people. Well,
Yeah.
you don't leave them forever. You just leave them long enough where they get a little
For the snipes to come out.
pucker up a little bit. Like, oh god,
I know.
it's
Todd's
really
like, come
dark out
on. I know.
here.
Todd's like, come on. I'm like, no, I can't leave them. I was like, they're really doing this. They're so excited, and we're lying to them, and they're scared of the dark. And I'm like, I'm not leaving my babies.
The first time that I ever went, I played it off as though I knew what was going on because
Uh-huh.
I picked up on the fact that it was fakery. It was some tomfoolery going on
Oh,
uh,
uh-uh.
before I even got there. But because I was already in the loop, there was other people there that I wanted to have. I
Uh-huh.
wanted them to have the experience and have the magic. Same thing like Santa Claus. You don't
Mm-hmm.
tell kids Santa Claus isn't real. If you're watching this and you just found out that snipe hunting is not real, then don't tell your friends. Let them enjoy the
Mm-hmm.
spirit of this thing, man. I mean, tis the season, but I just let your friends get to know the
Yeah.
truth on their own.
Yeah.
Don't ruin it for them.
Well,
Uh,
that's what happened with my with Tucker, my son. He had went to school because I hyped this up for 2 or 3 weeks because snipe season was just fixing to start, like it was coming, just like regular deer season. It was fixing to start in a couple of weeks. It was
y'all went
coming.
all the way out.
Yeah, yeah. And then so he was like, like, oh, do y'all have any plans? And it's like, yeah, we're gonna go snipe hunting. And the teacher's like, oh my gosh, yeah, I used to take my kids snipe hunting all the time. And he'd come home and tell me, he's like, oh, so now, we got teachers lying to kids. So, but it was like, no, and I mean, and I'm sure he's probably gonna take his kids snipe hunting too. But it's nothing mean, but it almost maybe like a rite of passage. I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Um. So also, but there are some of those things that go a little too far, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Like I have cousins that are still scared of a character that was made up to them when they were kids called Jabbo.
Uh-huh.
Um, in East Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
You ever heard of Jabbo?
No.
I've got cousins that are in their mid 20s,
Mm-hmm.
and they all have children of their own now and are still admittedly scared of Jabbo. Like
No.
still frightened of them.
Yeah. Now, see, I don't believe in stories like that. And I mean, even scaring my kids because they're both, everybody's scared of masks and clowns, and people thinks it's funny. It's like, it's not funny to scare, And I guess I don't know what that line is between what I did and, messing with them. But even, like we have the campfire stories of hook claw and, all these different things happening. So,
Don't get me wrong. It
yeah.
is very okay to scare. It is not okay to lie. Like to the end of the moon, it's not
Yeah.
okay for that. That's not all right.
Well, if they're petrified, like if
Mhm.
you know what, because
Are you setting up like full on trauma for this child?
right,
Like,
right, yeah,
are they going to
yeah.
experience this till their grave? Are they
Mhm.
they're going to live this moment over and over and over again? That's not good. Don't do
No,
that.
No, and because since we're talking about this all makes me think about the movie The Village, because our parents did
Good pull.
program us and do a lot of things to us to scare us, and I'm like, I understand that now with The Village as to why they do that. They do it to keep them safe, but they really
Mm.
are hindering them. And then, but I understand, that place where they're coming from to do it, but still,
Yeah, it was used as a form of like
hmm
terrorism.
hmm
That's
like
terrorism.
Jabbo, yeah.
Yeah, but except that's
hmm
terrorism. That's psychological warfare against your kids to make them. Well, I don't want to make it out bigger than it actually is, but
Well, to
um,
go to the extreme like they did in the movie to have
right.
where I guess he would run through the house and somebody in a cop, that would that a little campfire story wouldn't be that bad, like but
Using it to manipulate civilizations.
right, yeah.
Yeah, that's not good.
It does sound familiar though.
What are you
I don't
talking
know.
about?
People using things to manipulate civilizations. I don't know. Sounds
Like
familiar.
scary monsters to
Yeah,
manipulate civilization? Yeah,
yeah.
it does sound familiar.
It does sound familiar, but I still will say like random things to my kids, like if there's like some kind of weird tragedy, I'm not making fun of it, but I'm like, oh, I bet they didn't listen to their mama, or or like somebody be like walking in the rain, I'll be like, bet they didn't listen to their mama. They're like, I'm sure they did, mama. I'm like, no, they didn't.
Nope, that's how it happens.
That's how it happens.
All
hmm
right. All right. So I think we're ready to shut this down, folks. This lasagna smells good, and I'm not gonna eat it on camera. That would be horrendous. Um, but if you guys could do me a huge favor and go ahead and hit the like button and the subscribe button, that would make my Thanksgiving so awesome. It'd be like turkey and gravy and all of those good things. Also, uh, check out realisticholistic.com. That's Rachel's website for her store. And I want to thank her for being on the show today because she brings a lot to the table and I appreciate it.
All this random giblets.
That's a good word for it,
It
giblets.
is giblets.
Well, it's not George Norrie and it ain't Coast to Coast, but I'm Bobby and that's Rachel, and you've been served French toast. You guys have a happy Thanksgiving, and yeah, and a great weekend too.
Yeah. Happy New Year.
That's what I was supposed to say. Oh no. Talk to y'all later. Bye.